So when my book came out, I was invited on to The View, hosted by Barbara Walters, and sadly Barbara Walters had to go off to a prior engagement, so she wasn't actually going to be on the panel of the show that we were taping that day. So it would be just the other four lady hosts, not her. So I caught her backstage. I asked her producer, because Barbara Walters was quite a big icon of mine and I was dying to meet her. And I knew that she'd been the other woman very publicly. She'd written about it. She'd had a couple of affairs, but one she noted in much detail. She had an affair with a black man in the 70s, so all of that was very risque. So I managed to speak to her backstage and had some time in her dressing room, and I said, Miss Walters, I'm a fan of yours, I read your book, and it's such a shame you won't actually be on the panel today interviewing me, because at least you'd been in my corner. And she looked at me as if I was from the moon, and she said, what do you mean? I said, well, you've been a mistress, you've been where I've been. And she looked at me as if I was dirt, and she said, oh no, my dear, I've never been a mistress. And I thought, okay, am I going crazy? And I said, but Miss Walters, I said, I've read your book. I saw you on Oprah. I said, I've read all about it, and you spoke about it to Oprah, and Oprah said she'd been the other woman. She said, I've never been a mistress, my dear. I've never had my bills paid. I was the other woman. And I said, but Miss Walters, the media keeps referring to me as Gordon Ramsay's mistress, but he never paid any of my bills. She said, dear, I was never a mistress. I was never financially looked after. I was the other woman. So she turned around to pick up her purse and she said, but if I ever came back and did it again, you bet I'd get those bills paid. And she walked off, leaving me a gaping, open-mouthed, trying to deal with the fact that I'd met Miss Barbara Walters for the first time. She's just, I think, insulted me. Trying to put a different term on something that she was doing exactly the same thing, sleeping with somebody else's husband, but she didn't want to muddy her name with a title. I was blown away. Then I had to go on and deal with Whoopi Goldberg, which is another story.